So we're going to talk a little bit today about easy ways to swap components from your Atom system to either a new frame or configuration that we might have sent you due to a warranty claim. First and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and remove our filters so we have a lot more access to the system. Now remember, with these filters, it's the opposite of what you may think from loosening and tightening. Now if you want to loosen the housing, notice I'm behind the system and I'm pulling towards myself. But I am currently going clockwise. By doing so, the housing has come loose, and we're just gonna pop that off real quick. We have our DI filter. We'll put that to the side. Same with the carbon filter. A little better example here. So I'm behind the system, same as the bottom, towards myself. You don't have to do it that hard. And now, the filter housings have been removed, allowing more access to the system. Now we are going to go ahead and lay this down. And now, we may have sent you a blank frame with wheels as a replacement due to a warranty claim. And you may try to figure out, how can I move everything over without taking so much apart? You'll notice that all the hardware is in between both of the ROs here attached to the center of the frame. So before we touch any of that hardware, we're going to disconnect the hoses. We don't want to deal with any extra resistance, so we're going to pop out our hoses, simply pull on the blue end of the push fit, and then pull on the opposite end of the hose. See? My hands are a little sweaty, but there they go. So now we have our hoses disconnected. I personally recommend having a drill on hand. You can do this by hand. Obviously, it is more labor intensive and will take more time. But with a drill, all you'll need is a size 11 millimeter bit for any of the hardware that attaches to the frame. And you will also need an 11 millimeter wrench for the opposite side of the bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the DI housing. Now you'll notice the DI housing and the hardware for the RO housings share the same holes. So bear in mind, when you are loosening, you are actually taking two things off at once. Or three. All right, so we're gonna loosen. And by doing so, you'll see now the DI housing will exit the frame. And there we go. We didn't have to remove the cap from the bracket. We're just gonna put that to the side. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and take out two center bolts that also share with the RO brackets. So we're doing the RO brackets, but killing two birds with one stone. Oops. There we go. So now you'll notice with those four bolts removed, both the ROs and the DI have been removed. So there's our RO housings. We're gonna put this to the side. And the last thing that's left is our pre-filter bracket, simply attached with one bolt. You'll loosen as such, and now you're left with a blank frame. At that point, we'll consider this our new frame. Simply reattach everything through the same hole pattern as we took it out from. Excuse me. So, as simple, we'll start with the pre-filter housing. And notice, we took apart this system in 3 different major components. Pre-filter housing, the DI housing, and the RO bracket assembly that we put to the side. So, we have our new frame, pre-filter brackets on. Start with the pre-filter bracket, and you're gonna take your RO assembly. Now, depending on when the system was manufactured, there are slight minor differences in the frames as far as hole patterns go. It may require a slight bit of adjustment to fit the hole pattern of your frame naturally. So I'm going to show you how to work around that. First of all, we're going to align our holes the best we can for doing anything. Now next, we're going to take the bolt that goes through the center here. You want to make sure it is the longer of the 2 bolts that you've taken out. You'll notice one is slightly smaller and it won't reach through both of the brackets. So bear that in mind when reinstalling. And now we have the bottom hole of the RO bracket here. That'll take that smaller bolt. Make sure you put your washer and nut on the top. Everything's just hand tight right now. Now, at this point, if you find that you're having difficulty in getting your holes to line up, this is where you can loosen the straps that hold your RO housings together. That'll allow some play here. You'll be able to adjust this bracket and how it sits with the frame while maintaining its connection to the RO housings here. So if your holes don't exactly line up with the frame itself, you can loosen the bolts that hold your RO straps here. They are size 13 millimeter, and that'll allow you to slide this bracket up and down these housings, allowing you to find the proper holes that will allow you to attach the bracket. So here we have a good alignment here. So once you've aligned those holes, you're going to go ahead and take your DI housing. Notice your bolts are nice and secure. Then you're going to share the holes of your RO bracket here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach here. And we're going to take our washer and our nuts and attach them as such. Okay. So now that we have our 3 different major components reattached, it's as simple as tightening your hardware, reattaching your hoses, and reattaching your filters. Now, I recommend, before tightening down the hardware, start with the hoses. You have the most flexibility to be able to get a proper seal in your push fit. So now that we're all hooked up, let us secure the brackets, and we are good to go. And there we have it, folks. All you have to do, reattach your filters to the housings, and we're back in business.